Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's Monday, July the 27th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to open strongly with ASX futures up almost 0.6%. President Trump has called a halt to almost 2 weeks of airstrikes on Iran, while Iran has also agreed to pause hostilities as Oman seeks to broker a peace deal. That has seen oil prices retreat and lift investor sentiment, ahead of a week dominated in the US by megacap tech earnings and a policy decision by the Federal Reserve. Wall Street stocks were mixed on Friday, with the Dow up, the S&P 500 little changed, and the Nasdaq down more than 0.5%. Shares of chipmaker Intel fell about 8% despite strong results as investors grow increasingly uneasy about multi-billion-dollar spending on AI that's yet to yield returns. This week, Amazon, Meta and Microsoft report earnings, with those companies, along with Alphabet, having forecast almost $750 billion in spending on infrastructure this year, while analysts expect that figure to hit close to $900 billion next year. In other results on Friday, Verizon raised its annual adjusted profit forecast and said it had secured a more than $1 billion deal with Google to provide connectivity for its data centers. And American Express raised its 2026 revenue forecast as its affluent customers continue to spend on leisure and entertainment, but its shares slipped 6% as investors focused on an unchanged profit outlook. Well, the Trump administration says it has paused US attacks on Iran to allow more time for diplomacy. Iran, which has been following each night of US attacks over the past 2 weeks with its own strikes on neighbouring countries that host US bases, has also held fire for the past 2 days. Iran has separately been holding talks with Oman over the Strait of Hormuz. The development comes after President Donald Trump's advisors reportedly told him they were running out of targets amid a depletion of the US arsenal. Well, US Treasury yields dipped from 18-month highs on Friday as oil prices eased, although investors remain cautious ahead of the Federal Reserve's policy meeting this week. The US 2-year was at 4.34%, the 10-year at 4.68%, markets pricing in a 40% chance the Fed funds rate will be hiked by 25 basis points at Wednesday's meeting, and a 100% chance of a hike by September. Australian 3-year government bond yield futures fell to 4.69%, the 10-year at 5.09%, markets pricing in a 40% chance the RBA cash rate will be hiked by 25 basis points at the next meeting on August 11th, and a 100% chance by November. The US dollar index was little changed. The Aussie is currently at 70 US cents. Well, crude oil futures fell around 4% on Friday on reports that China had initiated a push to resume stalled peace talks between the United States and Iran. Brent futures settled close to $97 a barrel. Gold edged higher as oil retreated, spot gold at around $4,050 an ounce. Copper futures rose marginally, iron ore little change at $99 a tonne. And Bitcoin is currently trading just above 65,000 US dollars. Ahead locally this week, the key economic release will be the June quarter CPI read on Wednesday, followed by producer prices on Friday, while building approvals for June are released on Thursday. Overseas, Tuesday sees the US trade balance for June, followed by the Fed's rates decision on Wednesday. Thursday, the Bank of England rates decision, and US second quarter GDP, as well as Eurozone GDP. And Friday, the Bank of Japan makes its rates decision. That's your week ahead. See you again tomorrow.